How every Egyptian pharaoh was cursed, killed, or destroyed. Pharaoh 10, Thutmose III. The Napoleon of ancient Egypt. He fought over 17 military campaigns and never lost a single one. He expanded Egypt to its largest territory ever, conquered Syria, Nubia, and the Levant, and was so dominant in battle his enemies called him the Falcon. After ruling for 54 years, one of the longest reigns in Egyptian history, Thutmose III died at roughly 56 years old, of natural causes. His mummy shows he was relatively healthy for his age and era. For a man who spent most of his life in war, dying peacefully in his palace is almost anticlimactic. We had to start somewhere. This is as calm as this list gets. Pharaoh 9, Ramesses the Great. He had over 200 wives. He had over 100 children. He built more statues of himself than any other pharaoh in history. He ruled for 66 years. He lived to be over 90 years old, almost triple the average lifespan of an ancient Egyptian. When scientists examined his mummy, they found severe arthritis, a hunched spine, and teeth so badly decayed from an ancient sweet diet that abscesses may have been slowly poisoning him for years. He outlived 12 of his own sons. The man who fought Moses, built the temples at Abu Simbel, and renamed entire cities after himself, died slowly, painfully, in his own bed, a creaking old man who had simply seen too much to die any other way. Pharaoh 8, Akhenaten, the most controversial pharaoh who ever lived. He did something no Egyptian ruler had ever done. He deleted all the gods. Every temple, every statue, every record of every god in Egypt, destroyed or covered over. He replaced them all with a single sun god called Aten, and himself. He claimed to be the only person on earth who could communicate with Aten. Then, after 17 years on the throne, Akhenaten simply vanished from the historical record. No confirmed cause of death, no confirmed tomb. Some scientists believe a familial epilepsy condition that ran through his dynasty caused hallucinations so intense he genuinely believed he was communicating with a god, and eventually killed him. The pharaoh who erased all the gods died as mysteriously as the religion he invented. Nobody knows how, nobody knows where. Pharaoh 7, Tutankhamun, the boy king. He became pharaoh at 9 years old and died at 19. For decades people thought he was murdered. A blow to the skull was detected in early X-rays. But modern CT scanning told a different story. Tutankhamun had a severely broken leg, multiple cases of malaria at the same time, a bone disease that caused his foot to collapse, and a rare genetic condition from extreme inbreeding. His parents were brother and sister. He likely died from the combination of an infected broken leg and malaria overwhelming an already weakened body. No murder, just a sick, fragile teenager whose family tree was more of a family stick. His tomb lay untouched for 3,200 years, and then came the curse. Pharaoh 6, Lord Carnarvon and the Curse. Now here's where the list gets strange. This one isn't a pharaoh, it's the man who opened one. When archaeologist Howard Carter and his patron Lord Carnarvon broke the seal on Tutankhamun's tomb in 1922, carved inscriptions warned, "Cursed be those that disturb the rest of Pharaoh. They that shall break the seal of this tomb shall meet death by a disease which no doctor can diagnose." Carnarvon was bitten by a mosquito, accidentally slashed the bite while shaving, and it became infected with blood poisoning. He died within weeks. At the exact moment of his death, the lights in Cairo went out, a citywide power failure. His dog in England, reportedly, howled and dropped dead at the same hour. Of the 58 people present when the tomb was opened, 8 died in the next 12 years. Howard Carter, who led the dig, survived for 17 more years. Coincidence? Science says toxic fungi sealed inside the tomb for 3,000 years could explain the deaths, but science doesn't fully explain the dog. Pharaoh 5, Hatshepsut. She was a woman who ruled Egypt as a full pharaoh, wearing a false beard, adopting male titles, commissioning statues of herself as a man. She was one of the most successful rulers Egypt ever had. She died peacefully of natural causes, probably around age 50, from bone cancer and diabetes according to modern testing of her mummy. But her story doesn't end there. After her death, her stepson Thutmose III, possibly the same man who saw her as competition his whole life, launched a systematic campaign to erase her from history. He chiseled her face off every wall. He smashed her statues. He removed her name from every record. She was so completely erased that historians didn't even know she existed for thousands of years. She didn't just die. Someone tried to delete her from time itself. Pharaoh 4, Seqenenre Taa, the pharaoh nobody talks about, who had the most violent death of any ruler in Egyptian history that we can actually prove. CT scanning of his mummy revealed he is the only pharaoh confirmed to have died on the battlefield. His skull shows at least 5 separate severe wounds: an axe to the forehead, a blade through the cheek, a spear into the neck, all delivered simultaneously. This means he wasn't killed by one person. Multiple enemies attacked him at the same time, from multiple directions. His embalmers received his body in such bad condition, they had to use a paste-like material to reconstruct his face, a technique scientists compare to modern plastic surgery. He died surrounded, overwhelmed, and destroyed, and then his embalmers spent days trying to put his face back together. Pharaoh III, Ramesses III. He survived foreign invasions, sea battles, and political uprisings. The thing that finally killed him was his own wife. Researchers using a CT scanner on Ramesses III's mummy discovered a severe throat gash covered up by an amulet thought to possess healing powers. An assassin had cut through his esophagus and trachea with a sharp knife, killing him almost instantly. His wife had orchestrated a palace conspiracy to put her son on the throne. The plan almost worked, but the conspirators were caught. The conspirators were arrested, and some of them, including the queen's son Pentawere, were compelled to commit suicide. Ramesses III built temples, won wars, and outlasted every enemy Egypt had. He was killed in his own palace by his own family. His throat was slashed and covered with an amulet, as if someone thought a lucky charm could undo a murder. Pharaoh II, Cleopatra, the last true pharaoh of Egypt. When Rome came for her kingdom, she tried everything, seduced Julius Caesar, formed an alliance with Mark Antony, raised armies and navies. None of it was enough. When Antony's forces collapsed and he was told Cleopatra was already dead, he fell on his own sword. Cleopatra visited his dying body, then made her decision. She was not going to be paraded through Rome in chains as a trophy. She dressed in her full royal robes. She arranged her crown. And then she died, deliberately, on her own terms. The most likely method? An asp, the Egyptian cobra, the sacred symbol of royal power. She used the symbol of her own authority to end herself before Rome could take it from her. She was 39 years old. Her death ended 3,000 years of Egyptian pharaonic rule in a single moment. Egypt never had another pharaoh. End quote. The most dramatic, most debated, most watched death in all of Egyptian history, and we don't even know his name for certain. The Pharaoh of the Exodus, the one who refused to let Moses and the Israelites go, the one who watched 10 plagues destroy his country one by one, the one who chased the Israelites to the Red Sea after Moses parted it, and then watched the water come back. The Bible says he and his entire army were swallowed by the sea. Death by drowning is impossible to rule out, simply because Ramesses II's lungs, which would have held the evidence, were removed during embalming. Historians debate whether it was Ramesses II, his son Merneptah, or another pharaoh entirely. What isn't debated is the scale. An entire army, an entire empire's military power, gone in minutes. The man who called himself a god, destroyed by water. Whether you believe the Bible account literally or historically, no pharaoh's ending comes close to that.